All right, so it is my pleasure to welcome and introduce Audit This, Breaking Down Bias in the Cyber Stack. And this will be a vital conversation on how systematic bias can affect everything from threat modeling to hiring and policy. This session will bring together leaders from government, industry, and defense to highlight the forces shaping our security posture. So we will, our featured speakers are Mr. Kaleeque Pierce and Ms. Jessica Hoffman. Please join me in welcoming them to their talk.
So this is actually the third year Kaleeque and I have tag team. The first year, I was just up here doing my thing. This man in back is like screaming stuff, and I was like, well, why don't you just come up here and talk with me? No, it was a great perspective because obviously we're two different people. We have different perceptions on things, different ways to approach, all that good stuff. I'm sorry, this is like day 7 for me here. I'm a little dragging, but normally I'm like, so really excited. First year we did about redlining and how that impacted access to technology for those residents who lived in those areas, and how that impacted the future of cyber as far as the diversity in our field. Last year we did emotional intelligence, which was great too. Right. Had a really great audience, and you know, just hearing everybody's personal experiences was really great. I felt like we really had some intimate conversations. So this year, you know, we were talking about, this year we actually coordinated a little bit. Like, what can we do with this? How can we keep this going as far as the same, like, topic, right? Like, there's so many opportunities in cyber, right? And we just want to make sure the playing field is equal. And, you know, equality is something that will benefit all of us and our family, and we all have so much to offer. So this talk, the purpose for this talk is that we want to explore how identity perception influences cybersecurity interactions. So it is going to be interactive. So hopefully also intend to wake everybody up, including me. A little bit about myself. I'm in Philly. I'm in a leadership role. I've been to DEF CON here quite a few years now. I'm really excited, and really appreciate you guys being here. And again, this is definitely conversational, so this is a safe space, no judgy, right?
A little bit.
We'll wait till you leave to talk about you. I'm just playing. You can talk about us too. Did you want to say anything?
Yeah, so Kaleeque Pierce, I'm currently in financial services and have been for several years in a leadership position. From an IT standpoint, I've probably been in the industry for about 28 years if you count my military exposure. And along the way picked up an affinity for cybersecurity, but on the soft skill side of things. So social engineering, threat engineering, and really even physical security are more my focus as it relates to cybersecurity. But even with that being the case, a lot of the skills, especially on the soft side, are actually horizontals, right? They span across all of the focus areas within cybersecurity, and that's a part of why these talks we've been doing have been, I would think, pretty influential, because a lot of times those things get overlooked. And so that's a part of what we hope to be able to cover today as well, to get some conversation going, to make sure people are starting to talk about those types of things, not only here, but once you go back to your organizations as well, right, so that we can begin to affect change across the world. I know that sounds really, really Mickey Mouse's, but you know, I think that all it takes is one person, right? And if we look at it from a degree of separation, that one person can impact 50, and then the next 50, another 50 each. Slowly but surely, we can make a big change in things.
Awesome. And thanks, Kaleeque. And just some ground rules, you know, respect each other. Like I said, this is a safe space, no judgy. So, how about this? You talk to us about what are some personas. It doesn't have to be you personally, unless you want to, you know, put yours out there, but you know, the part of this workshop is we're going to get into groups and we're going to have some questions. We want you to think like, you know, this individual that we're describing here. So I have a couple examples, a young Nigerian, African GRC analyst. You can even put it in there, you think about height, you know, hair. I mean, really, like, there's more to these biases than just gender and culture and race. I mean, normally it's race, right? I know you guys were here in Blacks in Cybersecurity. I've had several people ask me already this week, well, why is there Blacks in Cyber? You know, are we all together? You know, yes, I'd love that we didn't need to have a Blacks in Cyber or the Latino, Latinx village here, right? I mean, it's going back to just that equity, right, across the board. And it's not that, you know, we all have the same opportunity, but we all have the same opportunity and have the same skill set, and well, not the same skill set, but have the same opportunities when you get to up to bat, right? You're both, everybody's equal. So, needless to say, let's make it fun, okay?
So you want to split into groups first?
Well, I want to hear. Let's hear. Does anybody have any examples? What do you think?
So, yeah, so archetypes, personality types, any type of, I don't know, image you have in your head when you think of somebody that would be involved in cybersecurity, right? What do you think of when you think of a systems admin or a pen tester or whatever? What comes to mind?
Think of that coworker that you're like, ugh. Right now? Okay. You want to add a little bit to that? What do they do?
White male, glasses, kind of nerdy looking, Yeah, I mean, in terms of that's the first thing.
Okay.
I mean, you can walk around this conference and what you mostly see.
Okay.
There's so many conferences and shows and the same thing. But that's the first thing, the first image that comes to mind.
Okay. We'll say SOC analyst. What do you do, SOC analyst?
I'm sorry?
How about we say he's a SOC analyst? What do you do, SOC analyst? Or give a look, what position? Okay. That cool? All right.
And my life ain't position.
I know, but we want to get a little more specific here. Okay. Thank you. Somebody was saying something up here.
Yeah, were you? Yes.
So I wasn't necessarily going to say like SOC analyst or anything like that, but like I got this thing around that time, I walked through the airport, like I can literally like point out like, okay, he's the one was, he's the one was, he's an actor, he's an actor. So I don't necessarily think we all have like a certain look when it comes to like cybersecurity or specifically for me, I'm a hacker, so like I look for other hackers, but I do think we have like a general like disposition of like we might look like we care about how we dress or like unshaven, not really clean cut, kind of like going against like the general perception of like a standard person who works in IT, kind of like dressing like not necessarily like rebel, but like showing their persona, like kind of like outwardly reflecting themselves.
So like almost the antithesis to the old IBM image, right? A blue or black suit, tie, shirt.
Exactly.
Right.
Exactly. So that's kind of how I look at like hacker in general. Like, I think it's kind of hard to say like, okay, this person has this position based on how they look. But going back to like the biases, you're saying like a SOC analyst that might be from like Nigeria, the first thing I would think is that they have at least like a master's.
Okay, we keep jumping ahead. Okay, so, but no, that's good. But the reason I'm saying like, or that example, like black senior IT auditor assigned to a whole three-letter agency, Mexican-American woman, it's her first job in cyber, there's a language barrier. We're getting specific because when we break up in groups, there's some questions that we're gonna ask you to talk about. Like, how many of you guys work with people that are difficult? Okay.
I'm probably one of them.
I probably one of them too. I mean, how many of you work with people, have worked with people who there was language barriers or culture barriers, or they were out because, you know, it was the Chinese New Year, or they were fasting and you didn't really understand, and you were like, what do you mean you can't come to this team lunch? Everybody needs to be here. Or, you know, like, that's what we're kind of getting with this. Like, we all work with people that are different than us, and depending on your exposure, it's very like, I mean, I always learn new stuff. I mean, depending on your exposure, there's people that you work with that you don't fully understand where they're coming from because you're not them, but you're also not part of their culture potentially, or, you know, their age. I mean, I see a lot of ageism going on in our industry. I don't know about you guys. So that's, and I'm sorry if we didn't properly explain that. Again, my fault. But yeah, that's where we're going with this as far as the groups, because we want you to think about them, those folks, and then, put yourself in their shoes kind of deal. That's how we're making this immersive experience. So does anybody have another example based on that?
Like think maybe a CISO.
No, I just want to say, I find that there are clothes that I only wear to like a DEF CON. So, like this shirt, the way that you tie, like, there are people who see, got that, right? There are a lot of people who actually get that, where normally at work, I'm not going to wear this.
Fair.
It's not just that stuff. It is the nerdy or hobbyist head of cybersecurity. Everyone out here has a passion for cybersecurity, what they do. Like, I don't know, part of that's actually what folks in for a year will buy. Like, well, I'm very fine. Like, it is actually.
Welcome to DEF CON.
People, regularly not happy with what we're doing here.
Right.
So I think that's kind of what cool is. That kind of space would be
Right, and also not have to worry about getting sold every 5 or 10 minutes, right?
This is my very first step also. I'm trying to get this into the cybersecurity technology world.
Okay.
And I thought the complete opposite. I've been to different business conferences across the nation. And for me, I thought, okay, this is the tire, shoes polish, all that's the whole 9 times. I got here. When I got here, I saw it was more dressed down, kind of like, I'm just here to learn. And I can respect that, and I think a lot of us need that. We have to dress up to go and learn, because how much we are, as such. So it's very exciting experience to see that, what my mentality thought it was going to be, and what actuality is.
Right, and that's the largest part of this talk, right? Is not necessarily to poke holes in some of the preconceived notions that we might have, but to help you examine them, right? Where did they come from? Why do you have them? Do you need to change them, right? How does it impact or affect your behavior? How does it impact the way that not only that you interact with other people, but the decisions you make about the job you're actually doing, right? That's a part of what we're trying to uncover today and help everybody get some exposure to.
Do I look like I'm from DEF CON? Now I do. This isn't how I know. Oh, I do. No, never mind. I do know so like this. All right. So now let's go ahead. Let's go ahead and break. Let's get excited. Let's get excited. Should we do like old school kids? 1, 3, 4.
Just take the
1, 1. Who want to play back there? Sydney's 4. All right, group 1 over here, group 2 over here, group 3 down there, group 4 over there. This is fun. Oh, this is school. We are at school in this village. All right, so. All right, how about you take 5 minutes? We want you guys to come, because y'all doing the thing. So you come up with your own persona, and it can be whatever you want. But try to give a little detail, because the exercise is, we're going to talk about an incident and situation and how you're working with that person and understanding who they are so you can better have the outcomes that you need, right?
Right, think about it, right? These are actual people that you're coming up with ideas about. So we're not talking about a persona for a CRM or something like that. We're talking about a persona that represents someone that you would expect to see or that you would normally see in cybersecurity throughout your endeavors.
Sure, that might be more beneficial. Everybody raise their hand about the difficult employee. All right, cool. Go ahead. Yeah, you're gonna make up your own personas first. Yeah, each group, yep. Is this thing on?
It is.
Okay, exciting times! We want to hear from you. How about we start with group number 1? Who are you?
Okay, hi, my name's Gary. So the persona we kind of talked through was kind of cybersecurity project manager, and kind of what do we expect when we think of a project manager. So a lot of the kind of qualities would be, very punctual, all about time management, a strong communicator, having to be kind of socially flexible. So the same person that has to be kind of a servant leader to an engineer also needs to be able to get up in a VP's face and have a debate and stand their ground. We think of women when we think of project managers. First of all, definitely bias coming in there. Another one that we would assume project managers are normally neurotypical, whereas then I think these days with more awareness, if you think of the typical engineer, you almost assume that they're not neurotypical, right? Everyone's is on a spectrum somewhere. There's the whole multitasking bias, that women are better at multitasking than men. We think that's gross, and it's a gross bias, but we wanted to call out that it was part of the conversation. There's also kind of this perception that the sexier, cooler technical work goes to men, and there's the pink coding of administrative tasks. That was kind of part of the conversation as well. We decided this woman is probably between short and medium height. She's very tough, dresses professionally, typically not very technical, more focused on business and financials.
Very tough.
Yeah, I mean, just has to be able to command a room, drive tough conversations, and tough decisions.
Is that what y'all think about, or what do you guys think about that? There was not, yes.
I'm a project manager. And I'm kind of like a contrarian, so I hate that. I'm basically all the spot.
What's up?
But the one thing that stuck out to me was, I'm Asian, and I think there's a bias sometimes. People think that we're a little more soft-spoken and quiet. So I think that's the one thing, that's the one box I didn't check. You didn't say, maybe Asian race. So, yeah, so there is that little difference in there. But, you listed out all those things, and I checked every box.
Do you think because of your culture, being Asian and ethnicity, that you're soft-spoken, that was that difficult for you to become a project manager because you have to be more assertive and command or administrator position?
Well, I'm not soft-spoken, and I grew up in a city, so I've always kind of been able to more easily speak my mind. But I know when I walk in a room, if you don't know me and you're just looking at me, your first thought might not be that, oh, this person will just, talk and speak their mind. So.
That's a good one. Thank you. Why don't you guys go next, since you have your microphone?
Okay, so we did an IT leader. It was based off of somebody I personally have interacted with. And he's white, older, 40s plus, male, of course, arrogant reputation. Well, is that reputation? Yeah, arrogant reputation, not helpful, short, vague.
Not helpful.
Not helpful. not helpful. Resistant to change. Not saying that, again, I know this is a talk on biases, but not saying that all IT leaders are like this.
No, please.
This is just the one that stuck out in my mind when they said IT leader, and I was like, oh, that's exactly who I think of. And it's bad that that's the one that sticks out in my mind. It's just that that's the way that he is.
Of course, yeah. Listen, don't defend it. No judgment.
Lean in.
Yeah, lean into it.
Yeah.
What else? That's it?
That was it. That's it.
Are there any IT directors here? So, did you contribute to that? Not helpful?
Yeah, so I told you that what she describes is basically kind of the opposite of how I lead. And so I've always been very open-minded in terms of my leadership style and my leadership ability. So, and I accept anybody and everybody for what they bring to the table, right? So I don't put anybody in a particular category because of how they look, because of their ethnicity, because of their gender. I treat everybody equally and fairly. And I was a signal officer in the military, way back in the day. And so being trained in that way, you have to kind of, be as accepting of everybody in terms of, what they're bringing to the table. So that's, but I really liked what she went into, and so I was able to kind of bounce my style off of, what she had been exposed to.
What would you say about your peers? Would you say that your peers share your same personality type, or that you're probably like the black sheep? What do you think? Well, that might have been on the.
I gotta be a black sheep. Yeah, I would say that most of my peers are similar to me. I think that's why we probably make a really good kind of leadership team, if you will. And there's always kind of one that's a little off, in any leadership team. But for the most part, we all share similar values and ideas. So I think that's what makes the leadership team itself really effective.
All right. Next.
Okay, so I think our person was in ISSO. That's the term, right? I don't know what that is, but I've been told, because I don't know industry too well, but it's an ISSO, so sort of a manager, good at speaking to people, not on the spectrum so much, because they're good at talking to people. And what else did we say? Oh, they went to a good college, higher education. So some higher education. We had a bunch of good colleges, good computer science colleges. What else did we say? Oh, they dress business casual at work. We didn't say this, but I think we were talking male, right? And we said probably not black, because there's not too many black people in that position or that we've seen. And let's see, what else did we say? I forgot. Oh, yeah. So basically good at organization. So being a manager, there's lots of deadlines, lots of different things that they have to keep track of. And they're good at checking boxes. You know what I'm saying? Like, here's what we need to get done.
Not the checking
You have to do it. You have to do it.
Oh, my gosh.
Who
is this guy?
I said that word, checking boxes. I don't know if you disagree.
I agree with everything that we said as well. I also think like the coordinating between the different groups, because you have the people in upper management that might be a little bit more business and like the framework, then this framework minded, but then you also have your technical people that have to actually do all these things in a set amount of time. So like good at coordinating and good at working with different people and personalities. I think personalities are a big one when you're on like a large team. Yeah, but I think that's it for, I think I covered most of it.
Are there any ISSOs here? The Information System Security Officer? I used to be one too, and it was more than checking boxes. Okay, you ain't wrong though. Educated, I think. There was some valid points there. What do you think? You think so? For sure. Well, we black though. It's like awesome. Yeah, here. Thank you.
So our persona is a DevSecOps developer. The person is a woman, emigrated on an H-1B visa from India, a little bit of an introvert, lives and dies by the DevOps board, and really, having to, really work to interface with not her, peer developers who are based both here in the U.S. and also overseas. It's a kind of multinational built team, and also interfacing with, cybersecurity, for the, various code reviews, coding standards, updates. So that's our persona.
Motivations, I guess we're kind of talking about motivations for somebody who might not be from the U.S. is staying employed, making sure that their job performance is top, because that's pretty much going to determine if they get to stay in the U.S. or not. So that would probably be a big motivation to how well they perform in their job.
Or at least how much energy they put forward, right? Question about that, just out of curiosity, is she married?
We did not discuss that,
All
but
right.
I've met her.
Right, okay. Before you say whether or not she is, let me ask this. Do you think whether or not she's married would influence the way that other people in the environment treat her while she's working?
So I've seen it, and so I wouldn't say so. I think that type of, or that archetype is typically just on top of the business, and so sometimes that doesn't even come up, you know.
What about the rest of, oh, please.
I was going to like flip it and say, do you think it would change how she interacts? Would her marriage status change how she interacts with her coworkers and the rest of the business versus how they interact with her?
What about the rest of the room? Did you catch the question?
I think it would. If I think someone's marriage status, if you married or working girlfriend, it's not non-public, definitely changes the type of suit that you bring to the table, and use communication. Just for the fact that it's human nature, like you're an attractive woman leadership, and I'm below you, I'm trying to smooth my way into it. It's human nature about how we treat each other. And not only in the tech industry, it's I'm based on my television, it happens all the time. Southern leadership, power, people all trying to get at that sometimes. Whether we're or not, it doesn't really matter. Just human nature.
I also would say I wouldn't touch it because it's like after me too, and I already feel like I'm walking around with target on my back and talking about that and getting another target on my phone.
And I also talked about the bias of, oh, she can travel, she can work late, she can, you know, whether or not you're married or have kids, right, definitely influences like how that comes across. Like, oh, she's not married, so she can put her on that 2-week deployment to install something. Yes.
Or with H-1B status, the pay scale is going to change. And so considering the entire engagement, right, or the arrangement of that type of setup, not just for that individual, right? You know, people that are moving into that space have a tendency to expect it, but what about other people's expectations? Right, because that's really what we're trying to get at. That's really what we're trying to talk about and expose. As a black man, prior service, certain complexion as well, a certain age group, a certain generation group, you have already accepted the fact that there are certain biases that you're going to have to come up against, right? But what about everybody else? Right, so then, and I don't remember your name, sir. Gary, just for a second, just out of curiosity, do you have any thoughts about some of the biases or some of the obstacles that this man in the back might encounter just because of what you see?
I mean, what would be my impressions? Or
No, not from you, right? Because we don't want to do that. But just what type of things in society do you think he would come up against?
Male,
In this,
yeah,
what?
male, race, military,
Right.
dreads.
yeah, I mean, there's that cultural aspect to it. I mean, like walking down the street doesn't scream, you know, highly capable IT professional, highly capable IT leader. But that's what's kind of baked into people's thought processes.
Right.
And I mean, do people think about kind of family and what kind of, you know, what our image in the street, not just yours, but like projects in terms of like, you know, I don't know if you're married or have children, you're not giving dad vibes, right? So that may change how other people kind of approach or interact with you, or what's the first thing they want to say to you. Whereas my husband's a teacher, and we have some nephews in high school. We go to football games, lots of dad vibes. It's all very, very like dads like sports, and that's just kind of like the default culture that's there. So certainly, you would be unusual in that environment.
I really like that you guys added the HBB status stuff, because I'm dealing with an employee and I never had to do that before. And, you know, there's all these reports in the news of these companies promising that they'll sponsor them and then fire them and pay them pennies. And so I'm dealing with this young lady who's very capable, but she has serious anxiety all the time. And I've tried so hard, you know, but I can't save every, you know what I mean? Like, I'm trying, and it's to the point where it's like, I think you need to explore other opportunities. I love the city, I want to say, I'm like, but you're not getting what you need here. But it's just like I didn't really feel it, you know, until I started really talking to her, going back to emotional intelligence and situational awareness and self-awareness of herself and even me, because I'm just like, shh, you know, get the stuff done, let's go, you know, whatever, supportive, you know. I'm not a jerk IC leader, I promise. But, what'd you say? Don't listen, don't know anything. What'd you say? I'm gonna hurt you, Steph. It's fine. Not helpful, thank you. But that makes such a big difference in how I speak to her, how I task her, how sometimes I'm just like, just go home, you know, because she's just a mess. And it's like heartbreaking, you know? But if you don't care, you don't understand, or you don't talk to them, you don't, like, you want to know that, right? And that could even make it even worse. And, you know, let's just be honest, people do things to themselves and others, you know, that maybe could have been prevented if you gave them that time.
There's also the idea of code switching. So is everybody in the room familiar with that term? Yes? So a lot of times when code switching is discussed, it's discussed in the sense of, hey, listen, I have a personal lifestyle that I prefer to keep private, and that lifestyle may or may not be detrimental to the role that I have or the environment that I have that role in, and so I am now going to project different personality traits in an attempt to not only be successful, but be admitted and accepted within that environment. So with that in mind, not just the things or the assumptions that people make about you because of your ethnicity, what are some of the things that the people in this room have encountered where they've had to switch or maybe shift somewhat in order to fit in the environment? And keep in mind, we're talking about all types of things across the spectrum, right? Without getting into too much detail, but take like sexuality. Sexuality, once upon a time, was a very, very touchy subject, and it really impacted the way people dealt with you or didn't deal with you in private. Well, now it's becoming more of a public conversation. And because of that, a lot of the impacts of it have changed as well. Height. I'm a 6'5", almost 300-pound black man with wide shoulders, wider shoulders, right? This hat is not just to catch people's attention. It is very disarming. It's very hard to be intimidated by a man that's walking around in a Asian style, I forgot what they call her, in the Asian style hat, I'll leave it at that, right? Right. With people associated with Raiden from Mortal Kombat, right? Like the ninjas, you know, all types of things. But the point is, it was done purposely. Because in this environment, this is my opportunity to engage people who under normal circumstances, not only would I not see, but who wouldn't talk to me.
Wow, that's deep.
So what about you? What are some of the things that you do to try to fit in or to be accepted in the workplace?
I think sometimes, like, talking about certain interests, like, I know, like, K-drama is something a lot of people are into, so I will try to find something that a lot of people are interested in and kind of just, like, disarm them based on, like, oh, we watch this show, we have that in common, or, like, reading. Some of it is genuine, like, I am genuinely into those things, but some of it is, like, I'm picking this thing because I know we likely do have that in common. Another one is like sports as well. Like, I love the Ravens, but I also like be like, oh, let me talk about like baseball with this person.
The Eagles.
Yeah, I was about to say, everybody can't have good taste, but.
But yeah, like those are two things I do, in addition to like sometimes making a joke with them as well if I can. But I also think like if I show my genuine personality, it's like allows me to actually have a connection with the person. So at first I felt the need to like check the boxes that I relate to them, but as I find more in my career, it's like just be yourself. Like, for real, that's the best way to connect with someone.
Anybody else? I'm really curious about because I've seen you. I can't miss you.
This causes
All right.
problems. All
Well,
right.
no,
So, yes, obviously, I won't talk directly about my role, but being here in DEF CON, and I hate to appropriate the phrase, but there is a bit of code switching, right? Like, I got to be more in the hacker element. I got to hang out with the people that I've been with doing this stuff for the last 20, 30 years. But when I'm back doing my day job, like if I'm talking to politicians, if I'm talking to C-suite, I got to change the tone a little bit, right? I got to change the terminology, the way I'm talking to them. But this, even especially here, allows me to still be me. Like this is me, right? I'm not going to show up in a jeans and a t-shirt to DEF CON. That would be me faking me here at DEF CON to try to blend in with the hackers. This is me, the true authentic me. So I think there's, and Lorenzo knows, he's seen me in other venues. I look the same everywhere. I got the fedora, same to you, right? Like it's a brand. It helps to maybe put yourself out there. It helps to maybe act as a conversation starter, right? How do we connect with each other as people? And some of these things help.
what were we gonna?
So I was going to do a little funny about the height thing that you brought up. So the CISO that I most recently just worked with would get on his tiptoes in photos, and it like killed me, like every time, and we'd all be looking and we're like, what is he doing? But like he was a little shorter of stature, and I was definitely taller than him, but like it was, he, to stand out for himself, would get on his tiptoes, which I found just like so fascinating. But bringing it, I'll talk a little bit about myself. So I have a very senior role at a Fortune 500 company. I'm purposely just kind of dressed down because, this is my usual everyday, right? So I'm just going to show up as myself. But what I'll say from the code switching perspective, I made very concerted effort throughout my career to dress exactly like you dress, right? Which is like, I always had the perfect pencil skirt on with the silk blouse, with the proper heels, and even rejected joining things like, the Harambe network or the black networks at my companies, because I was just trying to be the most outstanding IT professional that I could be. And I didn't want to be known as black. I didn't want to be known as a female. I just wanted to be the most outstanding IT professional. And so I very purposely focused very much on that. I will say only in the last maybe 5 years have I become, as I've gone up the ranks too, and I realize that people are now looking at me, that I recognize that like, okay, now I need to now show up for everybody who's coming after me, and so have been more engaged, involved in like that mentorship, leadership, and joining those communities. So I would say I've always been myself, like I've always been who I am. I don't think I, changed my personality, but like how I showed up like at work as far as like dress, as far as my technical skills, that was just so important to me to have that excellence. And then only I would say the last 5 years is that like relaxed a little bit, and where I'm able to just be more fully myself at work. So yeah.
It's
I think so. I think, I reached a point where I was leading, a team of 200 people globally, and I think COVID changed it a little bit too, right? Because it's like now I'm at work and I'm like, I'm not putting on a pencil skirt and a silk shirt to sit in my, in my little home office, right, and be on Zoom or Teams all day, right? And so I felt like that definitely brought a little bit more of a casualness to it, and then having to plan like, virtual happy hours and all these kind of things, right, to make sure that your team is still operating. So I think showing up for them a little bit more authentically, and then yeah, look, I got to the rank that I wanted to be, and so after that it's like, okay, well, who am I impressing anymore, right? I mean, still, of course, when I show up to the C-suite, right, you put on the airs of the C-suite, but other than that, for me, it was really more around showing up for my team and being available to them and helping really drive our joint priorities and making sure that we deliver it for the organization.
Just out of curiosity, I understand that transition, going through that transition myself, getting to a higher rank, and that's now what? What are you doing for the people below you? What do you advise them to get to where you got? Do you tell them what you did and advise against it or for it?
Yeah, so I do have a couple of pieces of key advice that I think people. So one is don't forget to have a personal life. I think that we can get very, very focused, and I did this myself, and it took me a long time to actually prioritize my own personal life. And so I tell young people, it's like, if you want to have a family, if you want to be married, if you want to do those things, you've got to put focus and effort in those things too, and don't forget to do that, right? You don't want to wake up and, suddenly you're 40 or 45 and you're like, oh, I forgot to have kids, right? It's like, no, like, you got to remember to do that. So I encourage them to be like, hey, look, work is important, and no one can remember you. So we did 3 or 4 and 500 company 4 years started or whatever, like, and now I'm not going to remember. So remember to have a life. That's one big advice. Number 2 is be excellent at your craft, right? Like, I do feel that that's really important. So whether, you're a database specialist or you're a cybersecurity pen tester, really focus on the excellence at your craft. But then I would also say, let's be open to new ideas and new things, right? I mean, AI is changing the game for all of us, right? Like, I didn't have ChatGPT writing my emails 2 years ago, and guess what? Now I start a lot of my emails with ChatGPT or Copilot or whichever flavor of AI is all running in the organization. So I would say be open learning, and then honestly, be open to feedback. I think those are big 3 pieces of advice. Don't forget to have a life, be open to feedback, and
Excellent, excellent. Really good question, and a lot of actually really amazing comments as well. Code switching is an unfortunate reality for Black, melanated, African, whatever we want to label ourselves these days, people. We've been conditioned to code switch because we were integrated into a society that wasn't fully accepting of who we are, and so that code switch mentality had to be done by everybody because we wanted to quote unquote fit in, right? And I learned years ago, like many years ago, that no matter how I look, I worked on Wall Street, JP Morgan for a while, so and I would go there with my little 3-piece suit on, my little briefcase, the whole 9 yards, and I realized that no matter how I looked, they were still going to perceive me the same exact way. And so I got to the point where I learned that code switching is just the opposite of what we all should be: authentic, truly authentic. So now I'm truly authentic. I'm authentically who I am and who I want to be, and I don't care about how anybody feels about it, because this is me, this is who I am. And real recognizes real. So when you're authentic, you draw the right people to yourself because you are being who you are, and people respect that highly. And so that's what so code switching is something that we should never do. Always be who you are. Embrace your 6'5", wide shoulders, 300-pound whatever-ness. You shouldn't have to do anything to make yourself feel accepted. This is my opinion. Accepted in any particular situation or environment. Just be who you are unapologetically.
And that's a great point. And just if you don't mind, I'm going to spend just a second pontificating on that. Like, for example, where you started, and I don't want to go too far into it because I don't want this to be some type of Black history thing, right? But once upon a time, Black parents were told and advised to make sure that their children smiled, because when they didn't, it made people of other groups uncomfortable. Well, that has transitioned into now a lot of folks who look like me. When the other folks that look like me not smiling, the reflex is to say, hey, smile, what's going on? For people outside of the culture, there doesn't seem to be anything wrong with that. It seems natural. Hey, smile, you're happy, be free. But a smile doesn't represent the same thing to everyone, right? Even what you mentioned about getting to a place where you felt necessary or felt it necessary to be your authentic self. Some people are not in a place where they can afford that luxury. So then what? some people's circumstances are dire enough that they do almost have to wear a facade, a uniform, a mask. Then what, right? It's not just because for me, some of the people in the room tell some stories that I hope wouldn't be caught on camera. But I'm probably more comfortable than I should be. But I also acknowledge the fact that comes with a lot of maturity. That is the compilation of a great deal of not just experience, but also thoughts and ideas about that experience. And so that's why it's important not just to talk about those types of things so that we can defend them or exile them, but so that we can understand the experiences that the people around us are having. So, for example, at this point in my career, when I see a leader dressed a certain way, I don't make assumptions anymore. Because I remember what it was like to make changes and then get tired of the changes. And then not only get tired of the changes, but then to recognize all the people that I wasn't serving because of the changes I made. To be a man and not just recognize that, okay, this person identifies as a woman, so let me give them a certain amount of free space, but to also understand that this person who identifies as a woman is going to have challenges and concerns and fears that I will never have. And so not to dismiss them because they're different, but to understand them, not necessarily to hover or to give too much attention to it or shine a light on it, but to give that person the space to be who and what they are. And in our industry, that doesn't happen as much as it does in some of the other places. You got a point? Oh, okay. So that's a big part of what we're trying to discuss today and to get through, right? When you think about a CISO, everybody in the room had an image. You think about, like I'm from an older generation, and so hackers were pointed out, like, for example, Matthew Broderick in War Games. I don't know if anybody's familiar with that movie, but same kind of thing, old beat up jeans, old t-shirt, spent most of his time in the basement of his parents' house, no social skills. But we know for a fact that that doesn't represent technologists today. But that was the image that was almost shoved down our throats. The same way that blacks had certain images that were projected out into the world. Asians, not just Asians as a whole, different groups of Asians had different images shoved out into the world. We have to be mindful, or we should be mindful, right? Because we're never going to have a perfect world. It sounds great, but we're still human, right? We're still imperfect. That things will always be imperfect. But we should strive to want to make sure that as we are protective and growing and evolving in ourselves, that we're making room for other people to do the same. And when we're doing that in a professional environment, that includes including those people. That's what inclusion should be. Not necessarily pushing someone else aside to provide an opportunity for someone else who wouldn't have had it, but creating equal opportunities for everyone to have a shot. Now, what you do with the opportunity is up to you. If you choose to be authentic with your opportunity, or if you choose to claim the music, you don't. If you choose to dress it up or to dress it down. If you choose to be more vocal or less vocal. If you choose to be helpful or not helpful. Right? We want to make sure that we're making room, that we're creating space for others to do whatever it is that's necessary for them to exist in that environment.
Yeah, and I can really switch it up a second. Go ahead.
All right, what's going on, everybody? I'm Dr. Jermaine Mungo. I am a CISO, right? So I'm going to add on to what you mentioned. Out in the real world, people look at me as like I'm a regular person, but when I say I'm a CISO, eyes open up. I don't dress like one. Of course, outside of work, I dress down, stuff like that and everything. But in office, I put that on, right? But the code switching thing as well, in the office, I talk that talk, all that good stuff.
You know, I help people out, all that stuff, leadership, all that great stuff. But you see me outside of work, they don't recognize me at all because I dress how I dress, whatever. But I'm saying is like, be true to yourself, know how to talk to people, whether in office or not, but you don't have to fit that mold. I'm one of the cool ones. I'm probably one of the coolest sisters you ever meet.
He always says that.
So, yeah. But, you know, be true to yourself. Don't worry about, that de facto looking a certain way. But when you get the work done, people are going to love you no matter what and everything. So I've been in my role about 2 years now. Prior work, Lockheed Martin, Department of Defense, all that good stuff. So I've seen that stuff from ISSO, ISSM, director, executive director, CISO, and all that good stuff. But as long as you be true, authentic to yourself, be good to go. Because like I said, I could be at the corner store with my boys hanging out. I look totally different. And they say, you're CISO? People don't know, but go to work, talk to people. Oh, you're CISO? Oh, wow. Eyes open up, man. I see who I am. But you want to give me the time of day because of how I look, But that's all I want to add and everything, so, all right?
Thanks, Jermaine. And we were talking over there about the CISO role, so I'm a deputy CISO, and I get that all the time. Because I do actually dress like this, I wear how I will wear. But I was just thinking, though, switch it up, like, it doesn't benefit anybody to put folks in boxes or not take the time to understand, especially in our industry, that little pesky thing, social engineering, right? Or the salespeople who are chasing me through the hallway, literally trying to sell me some shit I don't want. Like, if you ignore me or you write me off like, oh, she's not in leadership, she wouldn't, you could lose a sale. Or, we might be, so you said about DEF CON, you get on a plane, you look around, who's going DEF CON, you can tell, people got their DEF CON gears on, right? Or they got their backpack that looks like it weighs 50 pounds with all this shit in there, right? So there's some people that stick out, but there's some people that don't. I mean, when I got on a plane over here, I had on some comfy big pants. I was looking cute. I was like cute like her. Little flowy thing. I didn't look like I was coming to DEF CON, but I could have been a pen tester taking all your shit right there in the airport, Evil Twin or something. So it doesn't benefit us. Personally, professionally, and how we interact with folks, yes. But it doesn't benefit us when we're trying to progress in our career either. Right? And there are people out there that purposely put on the UPS. We know. So it doesn't benefit us to not think about other people's with our empathy, sympathy, emotional intelligence, understanding that we're different, but we're the same. Right? I mean, it's easier said than done. And I just want to say to you, yesterday I did a panel impromptu with 2 amazing women. And all of us were talking about imposter syndrome, and I'm dead ass, like, I've had imposter syndrome like 4 times this week. This week, so it's like, that's like life, it's life. And I'm learning from it, I'm learning from it. Like I said, I learned from the young lady who was having issues with her visa. I have so much sympathy now. I really, really do. And this young man right here, Richard, I'm saving you the last. You think you were gonna get away, but I saw him Thursday, and I told him, my buddy wears a 3-piece suit all the time in Philly, and his nickname is 3-piece. That's his name. That's his nickname. Every day, every time I see him, you know what he wore at DEF CON? Jeans and a polo. I was like, bro. So when I saw you on Thursday, I texted him. I was like, there's a dude here with a 3-piece. He got a fedora and everything. He might look better than you. And he was like, I saw him too. And so it was like, we could have wore it here. Why not? Why not? Own it. That's who you are. And I love that. I love what you said, man. Like, would I have thought you were in leadership? Honestly, I thought you was a hacker for real. I really did. I really did. I thought you was stealing all the things. Exactly. But no, I really appreciate what I saw you, because I was like, that I felt like it meant something that you knew nobody else is gonna be here like that. Just like you, nobody. And you're confident in being yourself, and I just thought that was beautiful. And so coming here, I feel I have no judgy. I don't have judgy, period. Like the furries you were running around, whatever, dude. Like, do you, man, do you. And that is what makes this place magical. Because you can just be who you are. You can have your suit on, you can have your polos on, you can have your pajamas on, and we got them too. We've got the cat lady over here. I mean, you know what I mean? Like, yo, be who you are, and I think that this might be a safe place for some people, and this might be one of the only opportunities they can have that safe space too.
Right, yeah.
So we've got to protect that, and that's part of, this talk. We like to come together and bring it down a little bit as far as technical, like real world stuff. Professionally, sure, with our cyber careers, interaction with our colleagues and our clients and customers and leadership, but also personal. This is not an on and off switch. This is who we are all the time. So, Kaleeque and I we really like these, we really like these conversations and appreciate y'all being raw and real with us. Because, take whatever little tidbits you got, take it back, and hopefully, that can help you in situations when you're dealing with individuals who are different than you, or take the time to get to know them. And that's number one with leadership, period. Like that, we're not going to build a relationship if I don't ask you questions. You don't got to tell me your blood type and, ask to go to the bathroom. I don't want to know all the details, but where you from? Where'd you go to college? And that goes both ways. Leadership, colleagues, again, customers, clients, all those things, in a genuine way.
It's important to remember that the pendulum will always swing both ways. You can be on top today and on the bottom tomorrow, right? Sunshine could shine today, it could hailstorm tomorrow, right? But we're still human, like Jess is getting to, right? We're still human beings, and it is, she's right. We love being able to talk to this aspect of it because it gets overlooked so much. We are people. Yes, we work in technology and live in technology and sleep around technology and everything else, but we're still people. And it's important to remember that, not just for our own benefit, but for the benefit of everybody we come into contact with, yeah? Thank you so much, everyone, for coming out today. Really appreciate you being involved and participating.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Would we welcome if I shared a job opportunity?
Go for it.
Look at you, you're legit, She don't look like a hiring manager.
I am. I'm in recruiting and retention at ISC. We're the founder of the IoT Village. And I loved your advice about having a personal life. When people ask me what our culture is like, that is something that I say is that we're able to have successful personal lives in addition to moving forward professionally as well. We have a really good work-life balance. Every time we send out those surveys and ask questions and stuff like that, no matter what's going on, it always comes back with, we have a wonderful work-life balance. So it's a really great place to work, and I'm not just saying that because I'm the recruiter. I actually don't make commission because I'm an internal recruiter, so. So we have an opening right now. It's a remote opportunity. All of our positions, unless they have some weird reason to come into the office, are 100% remote. And it is a senior security analyst, essentially an ethical hacker, mostly of web applications. So we're a cybersecurity consulting firm. Our clients hire us to hack into their web apps, networks, cloud, mobile apps, sometimes IoT devices. And we're looking for someone with about 6+ years of experience. It's paying $115 to $165. And like I said, 100% remote, flexible schedule. We also offer unlimited vacation. So if you want to know more about that, yeah, exactly.
Are you guys viewing this weekend by chance at all, or no? Will you be interviewing this weekend, or?
I'm sorry, what was the question?
Will you be interviewing this weekend or just taking CVs?
Yeah, usually at DEF CON I'll have like some casual conversations, get contact information, and then once the craziness of DEF CON is done, we'll have like a more detailed conversation.
All right, folks. If you're interested, one of your best opportunities to be seen no matter what.
All right, so come see me at the IoT Village if you're interested. Caroline.
Sweet. Yeah, we're at time, folks. So again, thank you so much for coming. Thank you for participating.
Nice job. Go forth, prosper, party on. Happy con.